Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, Clover Rosie Art. Today I will be setting up my April bullet journal spreads. For April I decided on going with the theme of Polaroids, as well as flowers. I thought that this would be such a perfect theme for April since it's spring, and I got the idea for Polaroids when with my friends, and we took Polaroid pictures together when we were at a park, only a little while ago. It reminded me of my Polaroid camera that I haven't used in a while. Well, technically I don't have an actual Polaroid camera, it's like an Instax Fuji film camera or something like that, but it's basically a Polaroid camera because it's pretty much the same idea. I decided to keep my colors for this theme very light and spring-like. For the camera in the center of the page, I colored it in with this light pink color. My Polaroid camera is blue and white, but I thought it would be really cute to color it in pink. For the other details on this spread, I also used a light yellow, a sunshine yellow color, and a gray Tombow marker. I left the flowers white so that they looked like daisies on the page. Also, in the Polaroid picture coming out of the camera, I have a mini calendar for the month. I'm still doing a big calendar though. This is just like an extra calendar that I also decided to add in. This title page I feel like is a more simplified version of a title page than I normally do, but I still think that it turned out really cute. Of course, on the next page next to the title page, I have a quote page that I am working on right now. The quote that I decided on for this month is "Every picture tells a story." It is so true. I have some of the words just written on there, while others are on Polaroids, like the word picture and the word story. I love the little string of Polaroids that I can include on these spreads for April. Behind the quote, I also have a cute strings of flowers and leaves, so that I can include the flowers into this spread. It's like including a lot of wall decorations of sorts on here. I would love to have these decorations on walls in my room, since they are just so cute. After I finished outlining the quote page, I began to color in some of the details on this page. I started out with my light yellow Tombow marker, where I just dotted in the centers of the daisies. Then I moved on to coloring in some of the other details, like the Polaroids, and I also brought in a light mint color for the leaves. After all of that, the quote page was finished, and it was time to move on to the calendar. So, like I said before, even though there's a small calendar on the title page coming out of the Polaroid camera, I am still doing this big calendar like I normally do. That way I have an actual little square to write things in, instead of just knowing the dates like I did for the other one. This calendar is based off of a calendar that I saw on Pinterest that was Polaroid themed. It said on the picture that the name of the person who did it was Anna Journals, so credit for the idea goes to her. Other than the calendar, I also have a section for goals on the side, as well as a drawing of an actual Polaroid camera, instead of just the type that I was talking about and that I drew on the other page. Then of course there are a ton of flowers all around the sides of everything. I think that this is a really cute touch to the page, and I love how all of these daisies are as much of a part of this month's theme as the Polaroid cameras and the Polaroid pictures are. After I was finished outlining this spread, of course I began to color in everything with my Tombow markers that I used on the other pages. I start out by using my light yellow Tombow marker, and I use that to color in the centers of the daisies, as well as most of the calendar's colors. Then I go in with other colors like this bright sunshine yellow, and my light pink to outline different boxes, and the mint green for the leaves, of course. I also use the gray for details such as on the Polaroid camera in the corner. I also used a few colors that I haven't used yet for this month for the stripes, like this darker pink and this blue, and a few others. Then the calendar was done and I moved on to my mood tracker. Well, for this month I called it Mood Pictures instead of Mood Tracker because it's with Polaroid pictures. I think that mood trackers are always so interesting to look back on. I can see, oh, these were a few of the days when I was really happy, or these days maybe were just okay. I really like seeing all of the patterns, and it will be really interesting in the future since I journal to see maybe what made this day so good or what made this day not as good, you know? For what I will be coloring it in to show what mood I was feeling that day, I am using a few strings of Polaroid pictures. I also write the day of the month in the bottom of each Polaroid. Just to add in a few flowers, I have a daisy in 2 of the corners of this page across from each other. I'm not coloring in much on this spread, since it will be mostly colored in during the duration of the month. I am just coloring in as much as I can right now. That basically means coloring in the tape parts of the Polaroids and the leaves on the daisies, but that's pretty much it. On the next page, I have my habit tracker. Habit trackers work very well for me, since I want to keep most of the boxes colored in, and it's like a motivator for me to complete that habit. And it's like getting a punishment of seeing how I haven't done a habit on there if I don't finish it. I don't mind if I miss a day or 2 or something, but if a lot of the squares aren't colored in, I will just get sad when I see that spread. I have all of the habits within these 8 large Polaroid pictures. In the corner, instead of another Polaroid, I have a Polaroid camera. The 8 habits that I have written down for April are bullet journal, write, sea breeze, and floss, YouTube, water, hand cream, and read. These are all of the same habits that I have from last month in my March 2021 bullet journal setup. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember to color in the habit tracker, and I have to go back and do that days later. But I think that I'm getting better at that nowadays. The habit tracker always takes a little while for me to outline because of all of the numbers that I have to write into the trackers. This part is most definitely not a very exciting part of the process of bullet journaling. However, after it is finished, I get to color everything in, which is actually always my favorite part of designing my bullet journal. It just brings so much life into my spreads and makes it look finished, like it's a real planner. I colored the outside of each Polaroid picture this time, but of course I left the inside of each Polaroid picture blank, much like with the mood tracker. Then I'll be coloring that throughout the month. After I was finished coloring all the Polaroids, I just added a few more details like coloring in the center of the daisies as well as coloring in the Polaroid camera pink, much like how I colored the Polaroid camera pink on the title page of this monthly spread. Next is an extra page that I like to add on to my monthly spreads with a few different categories that I think are fun to look back on. I don't know if most people include this, but I really like to. I have TV shows watched, movies watched, and a new category that I decided to add to this month, which is YouTube growth. On the other page, I have categories such as playlist and books read, with a lot of books to write the titles in. I think that these pages are always really interesting to look back on and see what was a part of my life at that time. I can see what books I was currently reading, what TV shows I was watching, and more. A bullet journal to me isn't just like a planner, but also art and a time capsule. I think that's what makes bullet journaling so awesome. On the sides of the pages, I have a few Polaroid pictures with cute leaves on the strings, which I think looks really pretty and definitely adds in the theme to this 2-page spread. I did this on both of the pages, but I don't have any pictures inside the Polaroids right now, but I am going to put pictures in there later with all of my markers. Speaking of coloring, that is what I'm going to get started on really soon. First, I do that by coloring in all of the leaves on the Polaroid camera strings. And after all of that's done, I get to coloring in the Polaroids like I was talking about before. In one, I draw flowers. In another, I draw a sun. And in the third, I draw clouds of sorts, but they're more like sunset colors, so it might be like a sunset, I'm not sure. And in the last one on this side, I just did this abstract chevron pattern. After that, I am outlining the words that I did in my fake calligraphy font with the different colors. I think that this spread is turning out so well. After I'm finished coloring in everything on the left page of this spread, I of course move on to the right page, where I add even more pictures to the Polaroid cameras. But first, I am outlining all of the books read in different colors. Then I move on to the Polaroid pictures. These Polaroid pictures, I'm telling you, were just so much fun to draw. On this side, I drew more abstract pictures. Like the first one is one with lots of lines in different colors, and then I colored one with colorful leaves, and the last one was multicolored dots. These spreads finally turned out so well. I really enjoyed drawing in all of these Polaroid pictures. Maybe I'll have to include these on some of my weekly spreads where I get to color in Polaroid pictures like that. Anyway, after that was all finished, next I moved on to the last 2 pages of this April bullet journal setup. I'm doing a spread for my pet rats, Clover and Rosie, where I track how many minutes I take them out to free roam in a rat-proofed room each day. I aim for an hour, normally. This spread I couldn't include a ton of Polaroid pictures or anything of the theme, but I do have a few strings of pictures on the top. The rest of the page is taken up by a large box that I have the tracker in. It will look like a bar graph when I'm finished with it. First I color the tiny Polaroids on the top, and then I color in the boxes in the pattern of colors that I am using for this month's theme. The colors go in a pattern of pink, dark yellow, mint green, light yellow, and finally, gray. Lastly, I finally move on to the first weekly spread of April. Since April starts on a Wednesday this year, I'm starting this week's spread on a Wednesday. I also included a quote in it, which is "Save the moment." Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed seeing my setup, and maybe it even gave you guys some ideas for your bullet journal this month. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. I post videos every single Wednesday and Saturday. Also, just a reminder that the due date for my Disney contest I am holding for 50 subscribers is April 1st. I would love it if you guys entered. Bye friends, and remember, keep being creative.